Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Uh, Today I'm just going to be going over some of my thoughts on Space Marine 2 post patch 7. Um, so far I've been really enjoying the new mission featuring the new boss, the Trigon. Really enjoying that boss fight. The recorded gameplay, however, is actually of Inferno, the mission Inferno, the first mission. So that's a bit of a goof on my part. I apologise. But the new mission, Exfiltration, is absolutely brilliant. Along with the new mission, Patch 7 has also introduced us to prestige ranks available in the PvE operations mode. And honestly, so far, been really enjoying that. I've got Vanguard up to Prestige 4, primarily because I wanted the Servo Skull backpack, and I must admit, it's really cool and was definitely worth my time. I've also been playing a lot of Tactical to get him up. I've just been experimenting with a different kind of playstyle. As you can see in the video, I'm actually using the motor rifle, which is something I haven't really used before, but I must say it's really good at fighting the Tyranids. I haven't really tried it against the Chaos, but I expect it probably isn't as powerful against the Thousand Suns compared to how it is with the Tyranids. Now, talking of prestige ranks, there's also been a change with balancing when it comes to weapon arsenals. So each class now has access to additional weapons that they didn't have previously. So the heavy now has access to the heavy bolt rifle and the heavy bolt pistol. The tactical has now got access to the combat knife, the plasma pistol, the heavy bolt pistol. The assault now has access to the power sword and the plasma pistol. The bulwark now also has access to the heavy bolt pistol. The sniper has access to the heavy bolt pistol and the instigator bolt carbine, which I think is the burst version of the bolt carbine. And the Vanguard has access to the heavy bolt pistol and the bolt carbine, which is cool. The reason that this is also a good addition is because obviously with an extended arsenal for each class, it means that there is more replayability when it comes to swapping out weapons and also trying out new strategies, mixing it with the perks, which is obviously a good thing. That is one thing that this game has always done well. Is I personally think it's got really good replayability. So giving us prestige ranks, giving us extra weapons for us to use is always a good thing. Now, just scrolling down the patch notes, there's a lot about the different types of the versions of the different weapons they've added. Additional perks to the weapons as cool, which is nice. They've also reduced some of the cooldowns on some of the weapons when it comes to health. So instead, just trying to find what it's called on here. But essentially, instead of having to kill 10 enemies in quick succession, you now only have to kill 7 to be able to get some health back if you are less than 30% health, which is always nice, especially on the high difficulties when it's harder to find a stim. You can just get some armor or just some extra health by killing some enemies. That's always a good thing in my opinion. Now, the bolt weapons have also got a buff. So the base damage has been increased by 5 on all versions, as well as the auto bolt getting an additional increase by 5%, and the instigator bolt carbine also getting an increased damage on top of by 5%. The bolt carbine, but only the marksman bolt carbine version, has ammo reserve increased by 1 magazine, which is 20 shots, which is nice. A little bit of extra ammo if you're using that version of the bolt carbine. When it comes to operations, apparently they've added a few new voiceovers on the mission Obelisk to make the objectives in the final gameplay sequence clearer for players. And in Inferno, it says, now if a player reaches the assembly area in the final stage of the level, the other players will be forcefully teleported there. After some time, they will receive a notification about teleportation after 1 minute 30 and will be teleported 15 seconds later, which is nice. I mean, I personally haven't experienced any issues of people not keeping up. But if obviously people are getting stuck or they've got left behind, at least now that they will get teleported to the final stage of that level, which is awesome. Love the Inferno mission in general, but the last stand bit where you have to wait to be able to detonate the charges is by far, I think, probably my favourite mission so far. Just having a look now at some other bits. They've fixed a couple of bugs. So for the Oculus Bolt Carbine, they fixed the bug where the Mastercrafted Alpha version had a minus 15% spread instead of the plus 15% spread. In the Multi-Melter, there's been a bug fix where the rate of fire versions of the Multi-Melter did not have an increased rate of fire. Now the Mastercrafted version has a 15% increase in rate of fire, the Artificer has a 25%, and the Relic version has a 35% increase, which is good. Obviously, if you wanted to use the multi-melter, and you want your rate of fire to be increased, then clearly this is something that Saber have fixed, which is good. There's also been a couple of bug fixes according to each class. So, for example, there's been a couple of changes, it looks like, for the Sniper class. So, for the Sniper Squad Renewal perk, fix an incorrect ability charge, restoring 15% instead of planned 10. So I'm assuming it means that now it's only a 10% instead of 15. But there's also been another one for the Sniper, which is fixed typo in description, brackets, 5% plus ability charge restored instead of actual 15%. For the tactical class, they fixed it for one of the perks, radiating impact. It's fixed the incorrect bonus stack with Auspex scan. And for the heavy, enhanced force perk, fixed bonus to charged attacks that was mistakenly working in addition to all bonus melee attacks, which is cool. It's good to see that Saber are still very much invested in trying to rebalance and keep updating the game in a positive way and giving us more content, which is always good. Now, speaking about the speaking about the brand new mission, including the Trigon, I've been really enjoying it. It feels different to the other Tyranid missions. I think primarily because in all the other previous missions, as you're progressing through a level, you might run into an enemy wave, and another one might get started if one of the larger enemies calls for reinforcements, or if you just stay there too long. I've noticed in this particular mission, if you stay in one area too long, the Tyranids just keep coming. It doesn't matter. From what I've seen, it doesn't seem to matter if they have called for reinforcements or not. They just seem to come, regardless, which is interesting. I'd be curious to see how it's going to work with Horde mode, which I believe is supposed to be coming out in patch 8. Personally, I think Horde mode could be really good for this game. I mean, Space Marine 2 as a whole, the combat, I believe, is extremely fun, and it feels just really well done. And I'd like to see what Saber is going to give us with Horde mode. It would be curious to see how they're going to implement different enemies. How is it going to work with weapons? Because I can't imagine that Saber are just going to allow us to use our own loadouts, because arguably that would be too easy, especially with some of the relic tier weapons. With the additional base damage increase. Part of me wonder if it's going to be something a little bit like World War Z, where you might start off with a basic weapon, maybe a bolt pistol, and some sort of melee weapon, and maybe you need to purchase using in-game tokens to maybe upgrade that level, or maybe swap it out for a different weapon. I'm not sure, I'm just guessing at this point. But it would be curious to see how they actually implement for this new mode. Um, in general, though, patch 7 seems to be, in my opinion, a much better patch in terms of content compared to patch 6. Patch 6, we didn't really get much apart from the access to, I think it was a new PvP map. We got the Bio Vor, I forgot its name, the new Tyranid enemy, and we got access to the Data Vault. The Data Vault was kind of cool because it kind of gave us some challenges, but with patch 7 they didn't seem to actually introduce any new ordeals, which I thought was kind of weird. But maybe they're going to plan to update the Data Vault with additional entries and maybe some additional rewards for completing certain parts of that. I don't know. But as a whole, I think patch 7 was better. We also got access to the Imperial Fist Champion pack and the Space Wolves cosmetic pack and the Space Wolves Champion. Both of those look really cool as a whole. I mean, I like the Space Wolves helmet. I think that's probably the only bit I like about the Space Wolves helmet. The Imperial Fist, it looks cool, but I think the helmet looks a bit weird. I mean, that might just be a bit of an odd opinion, but I think the Imperial Fist champion skin does look a little bit strange in regards to the helmet. Everything else looks really nice. You know, the shoulder pads, I like the knee guards. That stuff looks fine, but the helmet with the weird grill, and it's almost like it's a mixture between one of the bulwark helmets and just the standard tactical helmet. It's just a weird fusion for me personally. But there's a lot to love with this new patch. I mean, obviously they've given us a brand new boss fight featuring the Trigon, which is really good anyway. The Trigon seems harder to fight than the Hive Tyrant, but I think it's a more enjoyable experience. I like the fact that the Trigon will kind of, like it does throughout the mission, it will call in additional enemies, and then you have to use the melter bombs to effectively destroy these holes that they keep coming from. But again, you know, it's the same thing on essentially. If the longer you wait to blow out these holes, the more enemies that are just going to keep spawning. They'll just keep coming, and I like that. I like the fact that there is sort of, it gives you a certain sense of urgency to get through and destroy these holes and to progress through the boss fight. I really like that. I mean, also giving us a brand new enemy is cool anyway. I personally think the Tyranids seem way more fun to fight than the Chaos anyway. There just seems to be a lot more, well, a lot of difference when it comes to the type of enemies. This is by no means though. This is not a perfect game. There does seem like there's a few odd parts with regards to things like the spore mines. They seem a little bit too overpowered. But as a whole, I'm really enjoying the content. I'm really enjoying what Saber are doing with it. I think they are fleshing it out really well. Community, by what I've seen, is enjoying the update, but I understand that there have been a few connection issues when it comes to actually just trying to play quick match or even get other players in your lobbies. I'm hoping that that's going to be fixed hopefully soon, because obviously this is a game that's fun to play with other players, so it would be good if that could be fixed so we could have our matchmaking back. But that's probably one of the only negative things I would say about patch 7 is there are connection issues, but content wise they've done a really good job with giving us new cosmetics, a brand new mission. They've also introduced the Inferno pistol. I'm not sure if I'd mentioned that already, which is effectively just a secondary version of the melter rifle, which is cool. So obviously you could work around that, where maybe if you wanted a long range weapon for your primary, let's just say the sniper class, if you wanted to use the bolt sniper rifle or maybe the laser rifle, you could have a sort of close quarters, short range weapon, like the Inferno pistol is your secondary, so you're kind of covered on both fronts with regards to well, attacking enemies. It's up to you though, obviously, that's just a suggestion. But I really like what they're doing. They've also added PvP private lobbies, which is cool. It looks like they've given us some new colours. I think you can now have access to bulwark, cloth recolouring, and hands recolouring, which is cool. If you want to just paint the hands on your Space Marines, maybe like the iron hands and just give them silver hands, that would be kind of cool. And apparently rewards have increased by 50% in PvP. Now, I'm not someone who plays a lot of PvP. Primarily what I enjoy about this game is the operations and the PvE content. But they obviously have added a little bit with regards to the PvP. But that's it at the moment. But yeah, I think as a whole, patch 7 seems really good. They seem to have done a good job when it comes to giving us new content, because this game definitely needs, in my opinion, it needs more content. For a game like this, where there feels like so much potential, it is nice when you get something like a new mission or a new weapon, just to switch it up a little bit, just to play it a different way, and to enjoy maybe the missions as a different class or using different perks. The prestige perks obviously is something that I have already mentioned. I can't really talk about what they've actually done. I did see a lot of complaints on Reddit with regards to one of the heavy perks, which I think it was something about giving you additional melee. I think it was an additional melee buff or something for the heavy class, which I think people did kind of question what the point of that was, considering that the heavy doesn't have a melee weapon. I know that they can do the stomp, but with regards to the Vanguard perks, I think there's been a good selection, and with the tactical, I have the perk where if you miss with an Auspex scan, you get it back straight away, because sometimes I will miss the enemy, and it is nice to be able to get it back pretty quickly. So especially when we're fighting a bigger boss, or a larger horde. Not that I normally miss the larger horde. It's normally if I'm fighting the Neurothorpe or the Xenothorpe, you know, the flying Tyranids. I don't know. I think I probably pronounced that wrong, but as seems to be when I fight those enemies, that's when I seem to miss with the Auspex scan more often. So yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say about patch 7. I think it's a really good patch, and it's just making me more excited about what else they're going to add for patch 8. I hope Horde mode comes, because I think that could be brilliant. But we'll have to wait and see. But so far, patch 7, if you haven't given it a go, I would 100% recommend jumping on and giving it a go. Fight against the Trigon and see what happens, so you won't regret it. It really is a good mission. And I appreciate the dialogue with our battle brothers, and with, I think it's Magos Galio. It's really cool. So yeah, I don't know what don't think I've got much else to add regarding patch 7. But let me know down below. We're probably got about 10 minutes left gameplay wise. I think we're probably coming up to the final stage of Inferno. So yeah, I think I'm going to go, but I'll leave the gameplay running. Thank you very much for anyone who was listening. Take care, and feel free to let me know in the comments what you guys think about patch 7. Are you happy with what's been added, or Are you not happy? Is there something you think it's missing? Please let me know down below and I'll respond to any comments. Alright then, back to past Jammo to finish this mission for the Emperor.
Charge is set, and the swarm approaches. Dig in. We need that bomb triggered for optimal yield. Orbital scan estimates the bulk of the swarm will not be in position for a while yet. Keep your heads and get it done.
All specs ready to scan.
Enemies have split from the main
You are cleared
force.
to ignite when
Prepare to
ready.
intercept.
Picking up extra rounds. That should hold the creatures at bay.
Tyranids are piling on. detonate. Cook those rotten bastards.
Yes, Captain. You heard him.
Tyranid bioscience down 90% and falling. Swarm annihilation confirmed. Excellent work. Move to extract. Extraction complete. Returning to orbit. Commendable work, brothers. You honored your chapter.